Most ACCA BT students think this paper is the easiest. But did you know it silently fails more students than you think, not because it's hard, but because they underestimate it? Every exam season, thousands walk into the exam hall with confidence, only to walk out questioning how something so simple slipped out of their hands. The truth is, the BT paper is like quicksand. It looks harmless on the surface, but the moment you stand on it without preparation, it pulls you down. I've seen students laugh about how they'll just read the book once, skim a few notes, and be fine. Then results day comes, and that same student is staring at a fail grade wondering what just happened. Today, I'm not giving you another lecture. I'm handing you the real survival map for BT, the mindset, the hacks, and the resources your competitors don't talk about. This is the kind of knowledge that separates those who just pass from those who build an ACCA career without regrets. Here's the uncomfortable truth. 90% of BT students don't fail in the exam hall. They fail weeks before, in their preparation strategy. They treat BT like a side paper, an appetizer before the real ACCA exams. And that mistake costs them more than just one fail. It sets them up for struggles in later exams where BT concepts are the hidden backbone. Think about it. How many times have you heard a senior student complain about PM, SBR, or AAA? Most of the time, their struggle isn't the new syllabus, it's the shaky foundation they laid back in BT. This isn't theory you can ignore. This is the framework of business, the DNA of every decision you'll analyze in ACCA. Ignore it, and you'll pay the price later. I once knew two students who perfectly demonstrate the difference. Let's call them Sarah and Imran. Sarah treated BT with respect. She didn't just memorize, she connected the theories to real-world business stories. When she studied corporate governance, she linked it to the collapse of Enron and the way companies like Apple manage their boards. When she studied organizational structures, she compared them to how Tesla and SpaceX are structured under Elon Musk. Her BT prep wasn't just about passing, it was about seeing the bigger picture. Years later, she moved through PM and SBR much more smoothly. On the other hand, Imran treated BT like a throwaway subject. He memorized lists, ignored the examiner's style, and rushed through MCQs. He passed, barely, but when PM came, he was lost. The concepts felt alien, even though they were just advanced versions of what he skipped in BT. His ACCA journey turned into a nightmare of rewinds and retakes. The difference between them? Respect for BT. Now let's break the paper down. Most people just list the topics: business structures, governance, accounting basics, environment. But that's not the real story. The real story is why these areas exist and why they matter in real business and in your ACCA career. Business structures aren't just words on a page. They're the reason Elon Musk structures Tesla the way he does. The choice between a partnership, a limited company, or a group isn't random, it's strategy. Understanding this helps you see why some businesses expand fast while others collapse under pressure. Corporate governance might sound like dry rules, but look at Enron, FTX, or Wirecard. Billions were lost, careers destroyed, economies shaken, because governance was ignored. When you study ethics in BT, you're not memorizing boring codes, you're studying the real mistakes that led to some of the biggest scandals in business history. Accounting and finance basics might feel like repetition from school, but when you realize Apple, Amazon, and every multinational depend on these basics every day to make billion-dollar decisions, suddenly it's not so basic anymore. BT is not about theory. It's about the DNA of business. But here's where most students crash: the 3 fatal mistakes. First, they don't practice enough MCQs. They think reading notes is enough. But BT is an application paper. The examiner is testing if you can apply, not if you can repeat. Second, they memorize instead of applying. Memorizing a list of corporate governance rules won't help you if the question asks you to analyze why a company failed in governance. You'll be stuck. The exam isn't asking what are the rules, it's asking what went wrong, and why do the rules matter here. The third mistake is ignoring the examiner's style. Every examiner has a way of asking. Past exam questions are gold, yet many students avoid them until the last week. That's suicide. If you don't know the style, you'll walk into the exam hall like someone learning to swim on the day of a race. I knew a student named Arjun who made exactly these mistakes. He read the BT book twice but didn't touch MCQs until the final week. When he saw the real exam, it felt like a different language. He failed. The next attempt, he flipped his strategy. He drilled MCQs daily, linked every theory to real examples, and dissected past papers. His score? A solid 72%. Same student, different strategy. That's proof that it's not about intelligence, it's about preparation style. Now let me give you something exclusive. The Education Bench BT Planner. Not just a study plan, but a survival blueprint. Week 1 and 2, focus on business environment. Don't just read, watch how real companies operate. Look at how Uber handles regulations, how Amazon dominates through structure, how small startups struggle because of poor environments. Week 3 and 4, governance and ethics. This is your chance to bring scandals to life. Read about Enron, FTX, Volkswagen emissions, connect the dots between theory and reality. Week 5 and 6, accounting basics. Here, don't just memorize. Solve examples. See how companies like Apple manage working capital, how cash flow isn't just a statement but survival. Week 7 and 8, revision with smart MCQ drills. Not just random practice, but targeted practice. Identify weak areas, hit them hard, and simulate real exams. Most students skip this, and that's why they collapse under time pressure. To make it visual, think of this planner as a map. Each week you're not just studying, you're building layers. By week 8, you're not just ready for BT, you're stronger for the entire ACCA journey ahead. And here's a truth your competitors won't tell you. The students who follow this kind of structured planner are the ones who quietly top, while everyone else is stuck in the cycle of excuses. But BT doesn't just live inside textbooks. It lives in the real world. Take Uber, for example. They've faced corporate governance controversies, driver protests, ethical questions about data and privacy. Every one of those issues connects back to BT concepts. Or look at Amazon. Their organizational design, the way they use technology, scale globally, and still manage operations, is a live case study of BT topics. When you study, don't just keep it abstract. Ask yourself, where do I see this in daily life? You'll be surprised how often BT concepts pop up. Even in local businesses, the family store down the street that fails because of poor governance, or the startup that dies because it didn't understand the environment. That's BT in action. Let me give you another mini case. Fatima, an ACCA student in Dubai, told me she used to think BT was pointless. But then she worked part-time in a retail business. Suddenly, the theories about organizational structures weren't just theory. She saw firsthand how unclear roles created chaos, how lack of ethics in management led to high turnover. She said, "It felt like I was living the textbook." That's when her preparation shifted. She began connecting every topic to her workplace. Her score? 80%. BT isn't about memory. It's about seeing the world differently. So let me motivate you with a blunt truth. Failing BT isn't just failing one paper. It's failing your foundation for the entire ACCA journey. Students who underestimate BT pay the price later in PM, SBR, and beyond. Treat BT like child's play, and you'll regret it. But treat it like your secret weapon, and you'll build a career that flows more smoothly than you can imagine. Passing BT isn't just about getting the marks, it's about building a mindset. A mindset that says, I don't memorize, I apply. I don't underestimate, I respect. I don't skip practice, I embrace it. If you build that mindset now, every exam ahead becomes less of a mountain and more of a step. And here's my final call to you. If you're serious about ACCA, don't let BT slip through your fingers. Don't fall into the trap of overconfidence. Use the planner, avoid the 3 fatal mistakes, and connect your study to the real world. That's how you turn BT from a trap into your secret weapon. Hit subscribe because the next video is where we'll break down how BT thinking prepares you not just for the exam, but for real ACCA success and even your professional career. Share this with a friend who keeps saying BT is easy. Comment below if you've ever felt the shock of underestimating a subject. And remember, education isn't about passing, it's about building. Build BT right, and you're building your entire ACCA journey on solid ground.